let us join in singing together our opening hymn, number 349, We Gather Together.
Good morning and welcome everyone. My name is Petra and I am actually the worship committee chair for this congregation and happy to be with you on this beautiful Sunday morning. We welcome you into this sanctuary where we celebrate diversity and learn from one another no matter our differences in order to deepen our connections and transform the world with love. Let us begin our worship with these opening words by Reverend Julia Corbett Hemmeyer. We come into this sacred space, this hallowed hour, made sacred by our presence and intention here. We come with deep gratitude for everyday blessings, for the dependable changing of the seasons as they follow one another, for smiles and waves and spoken greetings, for being with others in worship, for babies and puppies and kittens, for the wisdom of the old, everyday blessings that sustain us every day. Welcome to our sanctuary. We're so glad you are with us today.
Good morning. I am Heather Norby. I'm the Spiritual Life Director for this fantastic congregation, and it is so good to be with you again today. I have just a few announcements, ways that we can connect and engage with our UUCL community here and the community outside of our doors. I will begin with Dorothy, who is very eager to come tell you all about our service auction on December 14th.
I said, Heather, please let me speak, and she said, okay. Anyway, we have forms. If you don't want to go on the website, which is where you can post your donation for this event, then come and get my pictures or these paper, and I'll put it out there. And we really need more donations. We looked this morning, we have 10, so we need more, and I hope to see you there.
Indeed, and it is actually pretty easy to go on the website and do it. I did it myself the other day. I'm offering sermon topics. So if there's something you would like me to preach on, you can come and bid on that and pay me or pay the church to get your sermon topic preached from here. All right. Tom and Marcia are coordinating a Thanksgiving Day dinner. Do you have a time that you want for that to happen?
In the past, we've done this usually about 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
on Thanksgiving Day. We haven't done it in a number of years, but it was very successful. We had about 20 people. We put a sign-up form on the card table out there,
Mm-hmm.
and Marcia and I will bring a
Okay, cool. So yeah,
And we'll let you, it'll be in the newsletter, for people who aren't here today if they want to write. And we'll let you know next Sunday if there's enough interest. There's only 2 or 3 people.
okay,
I don't think we'll cook a turkey.
that's fair. Sure.
But, yeah, we hope it was good. And also, there were people who brought a friend, single person who didn't have anywhere to go, so
Mm-hmm.
that would be okay too.
Okay.
You know, we don't want to just,
Not just for us. Yes. Yes, bring a friend. Yes. So quick recap, Thanksgiving dinner, 4 p.m. here in the social hall. Tom and Marcia are going to make turkey, cranberry, and stuffing. And you can sign up on the table out there and make sure that you're not, bringing something that somebody else is bringing. And, feel free to invite your friends that maybe don't have somewhere to go on Thanksgiving. And it'll be a wonderful time. Thank you. And then they'll let you know next week if we've had enough people sign up for a big turkey. All right. Quick notes here. And I did put something in the newsletter, but we really do need volunteers for childcare, outside of the worship service, like before the worship service, after the worship service, Wednesday nights, when things are going on. We need folks to volunteer for childcare. And also, of course, Melissa needs folks to volunteer to go out during the service and help her teach our children about Unitarian Universalism. And that's really important, of course, because children are our future, right? We know that. And it takes all of us to help teach them and show them the way. So please see Melissa if you're interested in volunteering just once a month for Ari to go out and help with the kids. And of course, as you see when I read them stories, they are just absolutely delightful to spend time with. So, all right. And we are still collecting food, so you can see in the newsletter what kind of items are needed, and I will plan on going down there sometime this week, probably Wednesday or Thursday, to deliver our donations. So thank you all for donating to this school. It's very meaningful to them to have people in the community that support them. All right. And with that, we will light our chalice. Our flaming chalice is the symbol of this Unitarian Universalist faith. We light it each Sunday, as do UU churches around the world, to create a sacred space, to connect us with one another, and to remember who we are as a people of faith. As we light our chalice today, let us recite together the declaration and the covenant we make to ensure that our shared Unitarian Universalist value of pluralism lights up the world. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Thank you. Pedro, would you please light our chalice? Thank you. Please join me now in singing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. You may rise in body or spirit.
Oh
invite our children to come forward, our children, and of course our young at heart. We have a story. Okay, good morning. Good morning. It's so good to see you all again. How are you? Good. Come on down. That's plopping down, all right. Literally plopping down. That's right. So I am once again going to read to you one of my very favorite books. But before I begin, I want to ask you, when do you, or first of all, do you go to the beach? Do you ever go to the beach? Yeah. Yeah. When do you go to the beach? When it's hot? When the sun's shining? Yeah. In the daytime? Yeah. When it's a good day. Yeah. When your parents let you. That's right. So what do you think about going to the beach at nighttime? Ooh, that sounds cool. Yeah. You want to stay at the beach until nighttime? Did you that one time? For real? So I wonder, did you see bats at the beach? Oh. That's only at nighttime. Okay. At Halloween. What do you think bats do at the beach at night? They chill? In the ocean? Okay. That's, yeah. Do you think they do things, like same kind of things you all do at the beach? Maybe, yeah. Find somewhere to hang upside down? Well, let's find out. Yeah. That's not what you do at the beach? No. Is it okay that bats do things differently at the beach? Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Why does the marshmallow have legs? Good question. Let's find out. Sun slips down and all is still, and soon we can't tell sky from hill. Now from barn and cave and rafter, bats pour out with shrieks of laughter. The rising moon can grow no fatter as sky lights up with gleeful chatter. Quick, call out, tell all you can reach. The moon is just perfect for bats at the beach. Me too. Soon we've got our buckets, trowels, banjos, blankets, books, and towels strapped on backs and under wings. Have we forgotten anything? I was going to say they've got banjos. Even if they're tiny, they must have everything. I think there's a picture of it soon. Launching out into the breeze, we sail above the darkened trees, flying fast to wet our feet where land and foamy ocean meet. At last we hear the deep bass thump as waves on seashore crash and bump. Now the shoreline spreads below. We pull wings in and down we go. And they go to the, do you all fly to the beach? You do? Oh, I love that. How delicious. Oh, how sweet to feel warm sand beneath our feet. Quick, set up, spread blankets on sand. We want to get going when fun is at hand. We hurry down to test the ocean. Don't forget the moon tan lotion.
Wait, what does he have about that?
He's got his moon tan lotion in there. What's the first thing we should do? So many games before night's through. like playing with the stuff we find, which others must have left behind. Have you ever left your buckets and your shovels at the beach? No. Yeah. Well, the bats are playing with them when you forget. Burying friends from chin to knee, we're scratchy where no sand should be. Making friends from other places with different foods and different faces. Because, of course, there's lots of different kinds, different species of bats, right? Or sailing to terrific heights, taking turns at being kites. Bats can pretend to be a kite? How cool! They have wings. I love that. Have I seen a picture of a bat before? Oh. Little bats dig their sand caves deep as old bats lie in the moon, asleep. Oh, here they are asleep. It's the old bats are sleeping. Chilling out. There's really no more thrilling ride than surfing on a summer tide or sailing in the wingboat races with salty sea spray in our faces. There they are in the water. Yeah. Well, I guess they found it and somebody left it behind. It was just their size.
That's a prize.
There's a prize? There's prize in there? Well, do you think it's okay for the bat to be in it? Huh. They do things differently, don't they? Now it's munch time. What's to eat? Baskets grown with yummy treats. Beetles, ants, and milkweed bugs, crickets, moths, and pickled slugs. Damselflies or salted skeeters. No room here for picky eaters. Sand fleas. Oh, I hope they eat those sand fleas. Bug-mallows. That's why they have legs. They're not just marshmallows. They're bug-mallows. Toast on slender sticks while cousins do their ocean tricks. Do you think you'd ever put bug legs on your marshmallows when you're roasting them? I don't know. And later on, those stomachs hurt. We'll try the snack bar for dessert. Well, what are they eating for dessert? Bugs. Bugs for dessert. Quick, don't miss it. The old bats are singing the bat songs they learned when they were first winging. Look, here's a banjo. See, that bat's playing a banjo. Music rolls on, but no more games as embers pop within the flames. Little ones climb onto leathery lap, determined to rest but not to nap. Then, east sky purple, sun is coming. A last few notes of banjo strumming. Bring our beach night to an end, so say farewell to newfound friends. Pack our things up, shake the sand out, give the noisy gulls a handout. Quick, let's go, let's fly away. We've got to be home before it's day. Flutter homeward, drained and weary. Small bats doze off, tired and teary. Daybirds start to chirp and peep. Now back to crack and crevice creep. We sigh and snuggle close together to dream about the moony weather. Shh, now sleep. The moon's out of reach. The night was just perfect for bats at the beach. Did you like that story? Yes. Yes, you can. So now bats go to the beach just like we do, but do they do everything the same as we do? So what do our Unitarian Universalist values tell us about people or bats, creatures, who do things differently than us? Yeah. Is it okay? Is it okay to do it's good. It's good to do things different. What do you think? Did you learn anything from the way bats do? You want to try some of it out yourself? Moon tan lotion at night? Yeah. If the bats didn't eat the bugs, we would have too many bugs. We might think it's gross, but like, we need the bats, don't we? Yeah, we need creatures that do things differently than us, right? Interdependence, we are all connected. Oh, good. I'm so glad you could see our UU values in one of my favorite books. All right, then. That's it. I am going to let you all go out with the grown-ups and have some fun, learn from each other, because are you all the same? No, you're all different. Right, so you have things to teach one another because you're all different. You're different ages, right? You have different families. You're 5. Oh, already? Oh, my goodness.
Here we gather, tucked back in this friendly neighborhood between the beautiful tall pines. We are a community of people who have arrived from many different paths, yet we seek a common goal: to bring more love to our hurting but beautiful world. We do this by building our UUCL community with our time, talents, and treasures. Our shared UU value of generosity calls us to covenant with one another, that we feel that we freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources so that the dream of beloved community becomes a reality. Today's collection is a Share the Plate collection with Indivisible Polk.
Thank you for this opportunity. Indivisible Polk, Florida is a local chapter of National Indivisible Organization. It's independent, and it's a grassroots movement for fighting against Project 2025. It started with current administrative's first term. and Indivisibles nationally, organizing protests, also mutual aid projects, letter writings to administration, and do a lot of social justice and social service work. And Indivisible Polk, Florida was started in November 2024, last year, right after the election. And recently we became a not-for-profit organization in Florida and working towards becoming a 501c4 tax-exempt and blah, blah organization. And one of the events that we organized was No Kings events, 2 of them, UUCL, and a few other organizations, were partners or sponsors. So we are growing and doing more deeds. One last thing, UUCL is collecting donations, and Indivisible Polk also collecting donations. Last week I brought I think it was 2 boxes of donations, and this week also another 2 boxes of donations to give to UUCL to take to migrant families. It's kind of collaboration growing with other organizations. With that, I know I ran out of my time. Thank you. And I have brochures if you want to get with me if you would like to learn more.
Well, thank you, Vaisal, for doing this really important work and connecting us to it. So we will have the ushers pass the plates. And so anything you give is shared between UUCL and Indivisible Polk. And we also have some recorded music today, which was selected by our speaker, Nikki. It's quite beautiful, and so we will just take our time to pass those plates and enjoy the music.
We are made of the earth. We are shaped by the land. Before walls there was home. Before borders was belonging. Before others there was us. We called this place home. The land remembers, the land remembers, the land remembers us. The land remembers, the land remembers, the land remembers us. Remembers us. Remembers us. We come from different journeys, but we're all children of the same mother. So our roots have grown intertwined. The city belongs to those who care for it and remember how it's cared for us. Even when we forget, every street's a memory. Every tradition is a seed still blooming. We are not separate stories, we are not separate spirits, though we may forget we are one living breath. But the land remembers, land remembers, the land remembers, yes. Land remembers, the land remembers, the land remembers, yes. Remembers us. Remembers us. We are not ghosts of the past, we are not echoes of fading time. Hear our voices ever rise. Hands that continue to build, roots they cannot break. This land has carried our footsteps, in its breath held our names. So we could remember to do the same. So we could remember to do the same. Remember to do the same. So we could remember to do the same.
That was The Land Remembers by a group called Throne. Is that correct? Thank you. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We mourn when others who do not celebrate diversity, bodily autonomy, and the sacredness of life cause violence to those that they perceive as different and unworthy. But to dehumanize others is to distort one's own humanity, and it is in direct opposition to nurturing gratitude, a gratitude that helps us to learn to be compassionate and generous in ways that help the world flourish. One study released in February of 2025 noticed that transgender people experience higher rates of violence, including hate crimes, compared to the non-LGBTQ population. It is Transgender Awareness Week, and November 20th is Transgender Remembrance Day. As Unitarian Universalists, we recognize that trans lives are divine, that the lives of transgender and non-binary people are a blessing, and we offer our unapologetic support for trans and non-binary people in our lives and in our communities. In honor of this, Let us say the names of the transgender and gender nonconforming individuals whose deaths have been reported in the U.S. in 2025. Would you come forward and help me to read the names? Kay Holmes, a 31-year-old killed in Lynchburg, Virginia in August.
Onyx Cornish, an 18-year-old killed in Caldwell, Idaho in August.
Blair A. Sawyer, a 27-year-old killed in Louisville, Kentucky in August.
Rosa Machuca, a 24-year-old killed in Austin, Texas in August.
Dream Johnson, a 28-year-old shot in Washington, D.C. in July.
Artie Cassidy Beowulf Gibson, a 23-year-old who died by suicide in Portland, Oregon in June.
Kamora Woods, a 27-year-old shot in Indianapolis, Indiana in June.
Sarah, a transgender woman who murdered in April. The specifics of the case were reported on April 14th, 2025.
Sam Nordquist, a 24-year-old black transgender man killed in upstate New York in February.
Nikki and Petra, would you please light our healing candle? Thank you. As we light our healing candle today, I offer you this prayer written by Laura Kunkel. It's called Prayer for Our Transcestors. We love and remember our trans siblings stolen from us this year. We love and remember all of our transcestors stolen from us throughout time and space. Our hearts are broken. May we find the care in our community to keep grieving and keep loving and keep living. Let us pray. Life, soul, love, we call out to you in our grief and our rage. We call out to you in our terror and our exhaustion. Please help us to gather ourselves together and to each other. Give us strength, give us comfort, give us care. Life, soul, love. We call out to you in our need for support and change. We call out to you in our dreams and wishes. Please help us survive. Please change the hearts and souls of those who directly bring us harm. Please change the hearts and souls of those who allow harm to come to us through their absence. Life, soul, love, we call out to you in our sacred wholeness. We call out to you in our full humanity. Please sustain us as we love and fight for ourselves and our trans siblings right now and always. Please bring us to a day when we may live whole and sacred, reasonably safe in the great, wide world. Amen. And blessed be. Please join me in singing one of our prayerful hymns, number 1053, How Could Anyone?
Anyone ever tell you were anything less?
ritual of the sharing of joys and sorrows is a prayerful time in which we can listen to our hearts, minds, bodies, and souls to discern what it is we need in this moment of healing. And sometimes we do address hard things in this congregation, and I think it's best when we do it together, knowing that we are here for one another, knowing how connected we are. And this is what our ritual of joys and sorrows gives us, connection and the knowing that we belong to one another. So before we put our stones in the water, I will read to you from our book, which sits at the entranceway every week. From Crystal. Crystal shares that she attended a celebration of life for her Uncle John yesterday. She's sad for her cousins, but also joyful for time playing with the kids and lots of hugs. Also happy to visit a farm and many animals. Let us say our prayer, "You are not alone." We are holding it together. So I invite you now to come forward to place the stones or stones that call to you in our bowl of water, connecting us to one another and to life. Petra will put more stones in for those of us who have joined us on Zoom and on her streaming services. And I've also been asked to put a stone in for Shirley Curtis Ferentz, who just lost her husband, Bob Ferentz, whom some of you may remember. Thank you. I am very grateful that Nikki McCarty will be giving the sermon today. She always has wise and beautiful words for us. And so before she begins, I just want for us to center ourselves in nurturing gratitude, our theme for the month. Wondering about the ways in which we can nurture gratitude that are perhaps a little bit more difficult than the ways we usually consider, right? Usually when we think of gratitude, we think of all of the blessings in our life and we count them, list them, write them. But sometimes we miss opportunities for gratitude when we're sitting in disappointment or resentment because something or somebody didn't live up to our expectations. When perhaps somebody didn't do things the way that we think they should be done, or they're not living their lives the way we think they should. We think maybe we know the right way. But that doesn't allow for people to create and construct their lives in new and meaningful ways. And it doesn't allow for us to experience the multitudes of ways that life can be created and constructed. And so sometimes we really need to stop and reflect on, why am I feeling disappointed and resentful right now, and what can I be grateful for instead? How can I see that this is an opportunity to think outside of what I know to be right or normal? It really isn't always easy to live life as a Unitarian Universalist because our values they do hold us to different standards that aren't reflected in the world out there. And so sometimes we need to let go of the old ways and learn from others some new ways of being in this world. And with that, I'll just read our quote of the month. Gratitude holds us together even as we're falling apart. And I will hand the pulpit over to Nikki, who might be closer to the mic than I am. Good, yes. Nikki.
Hi, everyone.
Let me take this out of your way.
Oh, thanks.
Lana, that's right, you got this.
Okay. We have a little booster up here so I can see over the pulpit now. When asked if I could help with a service about gratitude, I was happy to do so. I have so much to be thankful for, and I'm glad to be able to celebrate this season of gratitude with all of you. I believe connection to each other and to the earth is the point of everything. And the connections I've found here bring so much meaning and purpose and joy to my life. I find myself in a place where I have so much. I have a wonderful partner and food to eat and a cozy home and a circle of friends who have been there for me on my best and worst days. But I struggle with carrying the knowledge that there are others in the world who have so little. So I cannot speak about gratitude unless I am also speaking out against the systems that hold us back from equality. When I was a child, maybe 5 or 6, I was chasing fireflies in the dusk of June. They would fill the backyard slowly, floating and blinking a soft yellow glow in the space between sunset and the streetlights, and I would run through the yard and gather them up in my hands. And when I had a handful of bugs, I would open my palm and watch them float upward. and it was like I was casting stars back into the sky. I would do that most nights in the summers. And one evening, my grandpa called me into the kitchen, and he told me to bring a firefly with me. So I ran in with the insect in tow, and I handed it to my grandpa. And he took the firefly between his thumbs, and he ripped it in half. Yeah. He separated the glowing abdomen from the rest of the insect, and he proceeded to thread a string of fishing line through the bioluminescent bit of bug that was left. And I just watched the rest of the firefly, forgotten on the kitchen table. The antenna stopped moving. And he just beamed at me with this adoring grin, and he said, "Like a princess," and then he sent me back out to play. My grandfather was motivated by love. I'm not saying anything negative about my grandpa. There was no malice against the firefly, obviously. He simply saw me playing, and he wanted to do something that he thought would make me happy. At the end of the day, it was just a bug after all, but this memory is something that can illustrate a point about gratitude and something that hinders it. The root of many of the oppressive systems that divide us today is an ideology called dominionism. It's an idea that man has dominion over the earth and everything in it. Some view this as a calling to stewardship, to care for the earth and its inhabitants, and that's a noble purpose. But for others, this view becomes skewed and clouded by the illusion of superiority, control, and ownership. It is viewing that control over the world as something that is inherently granted to you, quite literally taking the world around you for granted. It's a sense of elitism and entitlement, and that is the opposite of gratitude. The evangelical Christian nationalist ideology I grew up in and the cult that my family joined later are both heavily influenced by something called the Seven Mountains Mandate. This is an ideology that emphasizes dominion or control over the earth, specifically in 7 circles of influence: family, education, media, entertainment, religion, government, and business. And this ideology was created in 1975 by Bill Bright and Lauren Cunningham. And those are 2 influential religious leaders from back at the time, and it was popularized again around 2000s, like when the Left Behind series came out, and so some of us ex-evangelical folk have some collective religious trauma related to that. So our evangelical church back in Ohio taught us that we were in constant spiritual warfare, and that our calling was to take back America as if it had somehow been stolen from us. And I was unsure as to what had been stolen, because we were always free to meet at church and speak freely about our religion at any given time, but we were taught that anything different from our belief system was a spiritual enemy, and that its existence at all was a threat to us. This wasn't gratitude for our ability to practice our faith. This was entitlement to spaces that weren't ours. And this was entitlement to in the personal lives and spiritual walks of people that did not affect us. This was not gratitude for the people around us. It was a false sense of superiority and the sense of entitlement and audacity we had to try to control strangers' lives. So I'd like to share some examples of how dominionism affects us today. The first one is dominion over those closest to you. The first one is this belief that men have dominion over the family. Growing up, I was taught that a woman's role in life was to support her husband, and that was it. We were described as our husband's helpmeet. It was like this coined term that probably came out in the 80s or 90s, and that our existence is formed around meeting a man's needs. Yeah. Men were taught in this ideology to view women as a source from which they can extract what they desire, whether it's sex, domestic labor, emotional labor, children. And men that were conditioned in that kind of mindset viewed women as living in this sort of state of consent by default, where our mere existence granted them some right to our bodies. So, first of all, gross. Ew, right? But furthermore, we need to look at the faulty presuppositions behind this thinking and how harmful it is to humanity as a whole. Women have to structure their lives around men's entitlement, keys laced between fingers, a mental map of the streetlights from your office to the parking garage. The fear of being told men can't help themselves, or you should have known better, or she shouldn't have worn that. Men are consistently told 3 lies that leads to this problematic thinking. 1 is the lie that they cannot control their urges. 2 is the lie that their urges are synonymous with needs. And 3 is the lie that women exist to meet those urges or needs. If someone is fed this rhetoric, then it paves the way to behaving like they must have all of what they want exactly when they want it at any cost. And that's sociopathy. This ideology, it leads to violating boundaries, it leads to assault, and it leads to abuse. An example of this is the incel movement. For some of you who aren't chronically online, the incel movement is a shortened term for involuntary celibacy. Right off the bat, this terminology is a red flag because celibacy is typically something someone vows to practice, usually in a faith community like a nun or a monk, and it's understood often to be like a lifelong commitment. But paired with the word involuntary, it sounds like a prison sentence. And this is how incels see themselves, as being wrongfully punished by the women who won't sleep with them. It sounds goofy, right? Their faulty belief is that sex is something that women inherently owe to them, and that being denied what they want is some sort of injustice. The online incel community is hostile toward women, anti-feminist, and it promotes violence and rape. The Southern Poverty Law Center describes incels as part of the online male supremacist ecosystem, and it is classified as a hate group. So it's not a male loneliness epidemic, it's a male entitlement epidemic and a men's inability to cope with rejection epidemic. Loneliness is the outcome, but dominionism is the cause. Can you imagine spending your life trying to force people into a prefabricated role and then treating them like an enemy when you don't get what you want? If you approach your relationship with the narrow terms of protect and provide or serve and obey, you are shutting down all that a relationship could be. You could miss the joy of getting to know a person for who they are, watching them grow and valuing them and the unique connection that you have with them. This lack of genuine wonder and gratitude for one's fellow humans is a tragedy. It can make you so focused on meeting some imaginary checklist of requirements that you're missing out on your whole life, your real life, rather than a life of ought-tos. Outside of the scope of the family, on a broader picture, there's the concept of dominionism over the planet and resources. This is the idea that animals, forests, oceans, they all exist just to make humans happy, and their purpose is to be used up by us, and that is not gratitude. This leads to deforestation, extinction of species, water pollution, air pollution, and global warming. It takes for granted this beautiful planet that we get to be a part of, and it disregards the future of it. There's a sustainable permaculture farm that I go to in Plant City. They don't use pesticides, and they let the water buffalo graze in the fields, and we press sugarcane in the winters to make syrup. All the vegetable scraps go to feeding the animals, and the manure goes to fertilizing the crops. Everything is connected to growing something else. The farmer gives the land what it needs, and it does the same for us. It's connection and relationship. One day I was pulling weeds, and I laid down in the dirt between the rows of crops, and I just watched the clouds float overhead. And They didn't care if I was a billionaire or just another strawberry in the field. I had this overwhelming gratitude that one day I would be part of the earth again, absorbed back into it and connected all the same, part of something eternal before and after me. I think that that's something that an oligarch would never understand. When you're so focused on owning the earth, you forget what it's like to really belong to it. Speaking of oligarchs and billionaires and the so-called elite, they play a heavy role in dominion ideology. The dominion of the wealthy over the working class is an ideology that affects us all. Growing up, I was taught that the rich were rich because God blessed them, and the poor were just lazy or not receptive to God's blessings. This is ironic because we were living paycheck to paycheck. It wasn't until I moved out and I was living on minimum wage, working full-time and going to school full-time, that I realized my family was wrong about literally everything. None of my coworkers were lazy. We worked all the time, and we were still broke because the CEO decided that our time was only worth $7 an hour. As a child, I remember seeing people panhandling outside of the grocery store, and I would try to give them the money in my pockets. And I was told not to give to them, that they needed to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Getting out of that environment, I found so much joy in the friends that I have made at the DSA Share, where anyone who needs a hot meal can get it, no questions asked, and I get to help with mutual aid donations to folks in need through Indivisible. And I know that if I'm ever in need, I have somewhere to go, no bootstraps required. I'm so grateful for a community that is built not on what we can acquire, but what we can share. And a final, somewhat broad example of dominionism is dominion over people who are different. This is presented in white nationalism, racism, and colonialism, imperialism. There is a faulty belief that white people or Western culture is somehow superior and that our culture must be imposed on others. This is colonization, and it always leads to genocide. We saw it in the 1930s, and we are still seeing it today. Something I was not taught in school was that the Nazi Party actually got their ideas from America's Jim Crow laws. I will say that again. Nazis got their ideas from the racism they saw in the United States. The hatred here played a role in the evils of the Holocaust. And how can we even be surprised? America was built on colonizing and the genocide of Native Americans. And then it was sustained by slavery, which is also a genocide. And this was all rooted in dominion ideology. Of course, it became the blueprint for hate and for the atrocities of the Holocaust. It is the blueprint of the genocide in Sudan and Congo now. It's fueling America's support of the Israeli government's genocide of Palestinian people, all stemming from this belief of dominion, that one type of person, in his illusion of eliteness and better-thanness, is somehow entitled to do whatever he wants with the land or the air or the water, or your body, your labor, your money, or your health, your thoughts, and your love. Implementing checkpoints that determine where you can and cannot go, whether it's a physical checkpoint of masked men with guns saying you can't be here, or a financial checkpoint of you can't get this medical treatment because you're poor, or a legal checkpoint of you can't get married to them because I have a religious opinion. These restrictions are not relationship or connection, and they definitely aren't gratitude. They're the opposite. It's separation and isolation, and approaching humanity and the earth as a means to an end, or worse, as an obstacle to getting what you want. I will never understand why someone would miss out on the joy of celebrating with friends from a different culture because they would rather have power over them. Why someone would choose to miss out on the joy of seeing friends get married because they would rather claim some type of religious superiority. Why would someone choose to miss out on the joy of seeing friends get, why someone would rather own the libs than share in the joy of ringing the bell after your last round of chemo that you could maybe afford through social medicine? Dominion isn't gratitude. It is grappling for power and a position above others. But who would ever want to be above someone when you can live beside them? The world is not made for you to tear it in half and wear it around your neck until its light fades. True gratitude is marveling at the light in others, honoring the boundaries of paths that were never yours to choose, and basking in the glow of all souls just as they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. That was truly wonderful. Our closing words today are actually found in the back of the gray hymnal, number 696 by Mary Oliver. To live in this world, you must be able to do 3 things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes to let it go, let it go.
And again, thank you so much, Nikki. It is always a blessing to have you up here. We will join in singing together our hymn. I don't remember what number it is, but it's in your order of service. For the Beauty of the Earth. 21. All right. Thank you. Go ahead and rise on up in body or spirit. Let us extinguish our chalice. Peter, would you please extinguish our chalice? We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth.